Welcome, everyone, to the NoDQ.com live recap of Friday Night SmackDown for December 12th, 2025, the eve of John Cena's retirement. Let's go ahead and discuss this week's SmackDown. We had a pre-recording from General Manager Nick Aldis. He said that he was inviting Drew McIntyre to have a discussion so they could bring a resolution and have Aleister Black, Drew McIntyre come back. Aleister Black was in the main event, but he was most definitely not mentioned in this opening segment. That was a botch on my part. Nick Aldis gave an invitation to Drew McIntyre for them to talk and try to resolve this suspension. That was the opening segment. Then we went live to Aldis speaking with Cody Rhodes, and there was a letter that Cody was given about there being an unsafe working environment. This was from Drew McIntyre. Cody took this document and just ripped it up. He went to the ring. What do you want to talk about? He said that Drew McIntyre is only half in, and that's why Cody doesn't sweat him. Cody said he cannot fire Drew McIntyre. However, he can whoop his ass. And at this point, we had Oba Femi, the NXT champion, coming down to the ring. Crowd was into Oba. Oba got in there. They had an intense stare down. And Oba said that Cody is worried about the wrong man. He introduced himself as the ruler of NXT, and he said the future is now. And Oba, to use a line from John Cena, said that his time is now. Cody responded by saying that Oba mentioned John Cena, but John Cena is a man that Cody has defeated. And Cody started to walk away, but Oba grabbed at him, held up the NXT championship, and Cody held up his as well. This was a pretty solid segment. I did like it. And I was a little shocked. I see Jerry's comment in the chat room. I always thought Oba was quite tall, but when he was in there with Cody, they were almost the same height. Still, I think Oba Femi definitely has a lot of potential to be a top guy in WWE, and a nice little segment to set up their match for Saturday night's main event. Shout out to Caleb Jacobs, who sent in a super chat. I will get to that in just a few moments. Backstage, we had Fraxium talking to Ilja Dragunov, the men's United States champion, said that they had his back if DIY interfered in Dragunov's match. But Dragunov declined, said he wants to honor John Cena's open challenge and do things on his own. And that led to our opening match of the show, Dragunov versus Ciampa. Really good match here. To me, the highlight of the show. They traded shots early. Ciampa targeted the surgically repaired knee of Dragunov, and then Dragunov was suplexed into the steel steps. After the commercial break, Dragunov fought back despite his knee giving him issues. Ciampa managed to regain control with an air raid crash off the top, an avalanche air raid crash. And they exchanged blows again. Ciampa delivered a German suplex, and Dragunov had this burst of adrenaline. He hit the Torpedo Moscow, and his face got bloodied up at some point. Johnny Gargano showed up. He got on the apron, and Candice LeRae took a cheap shot. Ciampa hit the running knee with the exposed knee, but Dragunov was able to kick out of that, and then Dragunov countered the fairy tale ending and got the 1-2-3 victory. Post-match, we had DIY attacking Ciampa, and Carmelo Hayes ran out there and made the save. Carmelo Hayes helping up Dragunov at the end. Seems like we are going to maybe have a tag team match at some point with these guys. Wouldn't surprise me. Like I said, probably the highlight of the show. We had Javon Evans interviewed backstage, and he was confronted by The Miz. Miz brought up how Javon Evans wasn't even born when John Cena debuted, and Javon said that if anybody should blame The Miz not getting opportunities, it should be The Miz. Miz was angry about this, and Javon proposed a match, and Miz said he would go to Nick Aldis, and they did confirm a match for later in the show. We then had the Wyatt Six come into the ring, and they laid down the tag team titles. They said if the MFTs want the titles, they could come down and get them. The MFTs, they did not come out in the arena. Solo Sikoa's music hit, but Solo appeared with the MFTs backstage and said they'll show up on their terms, and said they are coming for the tag team titles next week. And now let me get to Caleb Jacobs, who sent in a super chat. Thank you, Caleb. I appreciate it. Caleb says, my God, Howdy sounds just like his brother. Yeah, he's very much doing the Bray Wyatt gimmick. He's basically taken it over. It does feel a little bit to me like a knockoff and not really his own thing, but I think he does a decent enough job with it. I'm just not really feeling this storyline with the MFTs and the Wyatts going against each other. I don't know. The MFTs just really don't do it for me. But I do agree that he does sound a lot like his brother. Not necessarily a good thing, though, if he's just copying what Bray used to do. We had a backstage segment where Charlotte Flair was giving a pep talk to Alexa Bliss, and Rhea Ripley told them that her and Io Sky are the next contenders. We then had Alexa Bliss versus can't even say her name, Lash Legend. Alexa Bliss versus Lash Legend. Lashley caught Alexa off the apron, slammed her into the barricade, used her power. Alexa did manage to fight back, but then got taken out with a forearm, and Nia Jax tripped Alexa Bliss. That led to Charlotte Flair going after Nia, but then Lash took out Charlotte with a big kick, and then she got Alexa back in the ring, finished her off with her finishing move that they call the Lash Extension, which that's a fine name. I'm cool with that. Match itself was all right. Very basic, your usual outside interference. I hate to say it, but Lash Legend, it just reminds me of Bobby Lashley, and I even wrote Lashley by mistake at one point in my notes. Lashley Legend. But anyways, she seems to have some potential. I'll give her that. She apparently has new music, and I didn't really notice because I thought the old one was terrible, and, well, I think the new one is terrible. So they were just as generic. The new one versus the old one doesn't really matter. We had our next match, which was Javon Evans versus The Miz. Javon Evans got a pretty good reaction. He was getting bouncy early on, but then Miz stopped the momentum, sent him shoulder first into the ring post, and then Evans made his comeback after the commercial break. Miz managed to avoid the moonsault, and then he started doing John Cena's moves, the 5-knuckle shuffle. He went for the AA, but Evans countered out of it. Evans sent Miz to the outside, did the big dive, and then got him back in the ring. They traded a couple of near falls, and then Javon picked up the victory with a big OG cutter from the top. Solid match here. Nice little showcase for Javon Evans. I feel bad for The Miz in a way. He's basically just enhancement talent at this point. But like Chelsea Green, he manages to get the TV time. Good for him. Rhea Ripley confronted Nia Jax and Lash Legend backstage. And then we had Jade Cargill walking past Rhea Ripley, maybe a little tease for the future. And then we had Michin backstage walking out towards the ring for her match with Jade. However, as she was talking about how nothing pisses her off more than a bully, Jade Cargill jumped her from behind. Jade went to the ring, got on the microphone, said that anybody can get stomped on because she's that bitch. Michin then came down despite the referees trying to hold her back. She had a kendo stick. She used it as a weapon, but Jade still managed to fight back, and she chokeslammed Michin and got the best of her. No match here, which means we have to deal with it at some later date. Segment was kind of just getting Jade on TV. Didn't really serve much of a purpose beyond that. We had an Oba Femi video package, and also throughout the show we were shown John Cena clips. There was a little countdown, less than 24 hours to go for John Cena's retirement. And then we had our main event, mixed tag team match, Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley, the Terror Twins, against Zelina Vega and Aleister Black. Early on, Zelina slapped Rhea, tried to run and avoid her. Rhea eventually got her hands on Zelina. They went back and forth a little bit. Then the men tagged in, and Zelina jumped on Priest's back. Aleister Black took advantage of that, and then Rhea tagged back in. Black and Zelina were working together, double teaming, and they did these stereo moonsaults to the outside. And then back in the ring, Zelina and Rhea went at it again, and there was a little scary moment where Rhea went for the riptide. Zelina got out of it, and then they were trying to do some sort of a move, and they took a nasty fall. But they continued on. It was a little awkward when Zelina and Rhea were in there. They just didn't really seem like they were syncing up too well here. Zelina hit the code red to Rhea, but Rhea kicked out. And then Rhea regained the advantage. Aleister Black broke up the pin. Rhea headbutted him. And then Zelina attempted a roll-up, but Rhea kicked out of that. And then Damian Priest got back in, and we got a double Razor's Edge. Rhea and Priest hitting the Razor's Edge at the same time. And then Rhea finished off Zelina with the Riptide, 1, 2, 3. And that was SmackDown. Show went off the air. It was a very basic show. No big cliffhanger at the end for next week. You know, they hyped up the John Cena retirement, but not much else going on here. We got to wait for the Drew McIntyre storyline, obviously, with the Oba Femi match. They want to focus on that, and we got the little tease for that. Show was all right. There was a pretty good match with Ilja Dragunov and Tommaso Ciampa. To me, that was the one thing I would really recommend checking out from the show. And even Javon Evans, you know, was fine. It was just basically a showcase match for Evans just to establish him with the main audience, the main roster fans. Show was very mid for the most part. So I am going to give it 5 out of 10. It was just an average show. They were in Pennsylvania. What is that town that's kind of near Allentown? Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Yeah, I think that's the town. Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Not a very big city, but yeah, it's in that region. I think Allentown is the closest medium-sized city. It wasn't a great show, but they did mostly just build up Saturday night's main event, which is fine. You know, it was the last hype for that. And we got that coming up now. last big WWE show of the year. We have a few more coming up, but with the Christmas break, they'll be taping some stuff. NoDQ.com will have live coverage of Saturday night's main event. And one other thing I forgot to mention, they did confirm that SmackDown will be going to 3 hours on January 2nd. Again, as long as Road Dogg is writing for this show, I cannot support the idea of 3-hour SmackDowns. The ones at the beginning of the year were really difficult to watch. And I don't think SmackDown has a strong enough writing staff to support 3 hours. I agree with Matthew in the chat. They really need some kind of an overhaul if they're doing the 3 hours. We need that draft or that lottery with the brands and shake things up with the rosters. We need that superstar shakeup. And yes, I agree with Jerry that we got the European shows. That will make the time a little bit easier. Actually, I'm a fan of that because it means the shows will be on earlier in Europe. That will help a little bit. But still, not a big fan of the 3-hour shows. Now, if they had a stellar writing team, that would make a difference. And if they shook up the rosters a little bit, that would make it more interesting. But as it is now with the Road Dogg and whoever they got writing the show right now, it's going to be tough to watch. And also it will be WrestleMania season. That will help a little bit, but we're going to need a better effort for these 3-hour shows, in my opinion. Thank you guys for watching this live stream. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be back after Saturday night's main event right here on the NoDQ.com YouTube channel. And of course, NoDQ.com will keep you updated. Live results of Saturday night's main event. Say yes to NoDQ.com. Enjoy John Cena's retirement. And I will see you guys next time.